It's time once again for the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
The book is open. That means
Yes.
we've got a lot to talk about. A work session on February 21st, also the council meeting that followed, and then quite a few notes of things coming up in the city that you're going to want to put on your calendar. Let's begin with the work session. Three major topics that we've talked about before. The first was analysis of the community survey results. Again, remind us of this process and what came out of it.
Yeah, so the 2022 community survey was conducted last spring around April-May timeframe. We reviewed those results with the City Council in late July, and then over the fall months we're working on some analysis of some of the findings of that survey. Waited, of course, until we get into the new year here with the new City Council to kind of talk about some of those areas that were targeted as below benchmark, some changes in the percentages, the ratings for the city in terms of services or issues that residents are concerned about. And so we wanted to take the opportunity to visit about those items. So provided a brief overview again of that survey, given it's been some time and we have our two new members. But the topics that we kind of spent some time talking about is water quality, and I think for most folks they perceive the quality issue to be hardness of the water, and we know, well aware of the extent of the hard water that we have here in Maple Grove. So Ken Ashfield prepared a really nice report on kind of what it would take to address the hardness in the water. That's all on the work session packet if folks are interested in going and taking a read through that. We have other issues of consideration for the future of our water system. Eventually we had targeted maybe some potential expansion in that. There's some new innovation in terms of the treatment of water, moving to a more biological based system. And then we also have this issue of PFAS that's kind of floating around here in the metro area, more of an immediate concern on the east side of the metro at this time, but we think eventually all systems are going to have to kind of understand what that is and how that might get treated. So I think there's a number of layers of water treatment that we want to take a look at. The council wasn't wanting to move ahead with looking at that issue immediately, but was open to pursuing maybe a feasibility study to kind of understand what that would mean and get our arms around what the true costs are, what all those different aspects of the treatment and expansion needs might be down the road. The other issue at hand is our Public Works campus. This would be something, if we were to expand water treatment, would need to plug into that existing campus up there where we have our existing water treatment plant. So we're going to be taking a look at that campus up there. Of course, we have many things going on. Our entire Public Works facility. We have a couple of fire department related buildings, the North Metro Regional Public Safety Training Facility and the PUPS facility. So kind of the PUPS and the NMR facility are kind of set. That just underwent is finishing up some expansion, but really those fire buildings and then that water treatment area and the Public Works campus. So we'll be bringing back to the council at some point kind of that feasibility study to take a broader look at the water treatment options, as well as taking a broader look at that Public Works campus. Another issue with some pretty significant discussion is we had a question on the survey about organized garbage collection. So today Maple Grove is an open hauling city. You get to choose whatever garbage hauler that you want as a resident and as a business in Maple Grove. We had residents come forward with interest on that, and that has happened from time to time. We'll get residents that come forward asking if we would be willing to look at going to organized collection. So again, Ken prepared a nice memo in addition to City Attorney Justin Templin. Lots of legal issues with going to an organized collection. There's lots of state law around this issue. Currently we have 8 haulers total in the city, but 6 of them that service residential accounts. And so basically under state law, those 6 haulers need to maintain their market share under a closed hauling system. So lots of legal considerations there. Some discussion here. There wasn't a lot of interest in moving forward with that at this time. I think most folks felt like it's generally working. I know there's concerns over wear and tear on the streets, those types of things. And we did, there is some data out there that shows that it really doesn't cause, undue wear and tear on the streets. We did talk about, in cul-de-sacs where they might feel like they have a lot of garbage trucks, and maybe there's an opportunity for those neighbors to get together and everybody pick the same garbage company so that, they're making one trip through the neighborhood. So not really much more to follow. We're going to do some follow-up with the community on the topic of organized hauling, get some information out there. And then two other topics that we touched on with regard to the survey was street maintenance. Talked about, the upcoming maintenance program that we have and how we're funding that. Maybe some opportunities to look at Elm Creek Boulevard and deal with some of the congestion pinch points along Elm Creek Boulevard as we move through the commercial area. And then park and rec programs. There was kind of a marked decrease, and certainly some of that's understandable through the pandemic. So we kind of took a look at the data and how we're coming out of that for youth and adult programs. And I think the memo that was provided there by park and rec staff kind of addressed some of those current concerns and what the trends look like going forward. So good follow up on that community survey. Look for article in the newsletter coming up here that kind of recaps that part of the process.
All right, more to come as those items move along. Next item at the work session on the 21st was Fernbrook Recycling Drop-Off Site. Give us a little insight into this discussion. Yeah,
so this is a facility, if you're familiar with it, just north of County Road 30 off of Fernbrook there. It's kind of where the original, the old City Hall and the original Public Works facility was there many years ago. The old Town Hall is near there, which is something we also talked about. But we've had a recycling drop-off site there that we've had some change in staffing and have questioned whether that was something we needed to continue to offer at that site. The Hennepin County site, is kind of on, the east side of Maple Grove there, in pretty close proximity and pretty accessible to residents, and they really do accept all forms of recycling there. So council direction was to look at repurposing that site. Has a relationship to the Public Works campus. We do have some police storage that occurs in some of those buildings there, and so we need to plan for repurposing that. But certainly more to come here as we look at repurposing that site and encouraging folks to use that Hennepin County drop-off site.
And speaking of that site, the next topic was the Old Village Hall future, again, right in that same campus area.
Yeah, so Old Village Hall, of course, experienced a fire this late fall, and so we've gotten the reports from our insurance company and kind of what that restoration might look like. So had a visit with the council about that. They were open to getting some proposals for restoration of the facility, kind of taking it back to its time frame. We also, within that, need to kind of understand, what the use of that facility looks like going forward. It had been available for park and recreation rental, not very highly utilized for that. Also, it is a historical building, so we envision some further discussion with the Historical Society here as we look at some proposals of what that restoration could look like.
Let's jump now into the council meeting from the 21st, just over 2 hours in length. One large topic, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. A few items pulled from consent. The first is a appointment of a new police officer, which he has quite a history, it sounds like, with the department.
Yeah, so this is the appointment of Aiden Sinathasi to the position of police officer. He had been a CSO with us for many years, and so local resident, and we're really excited to have him joining the police department. And then some appointments to the Arbor Committee. So 2 new individuals joining the Arbor Committee, and so just Councilmember Johnson recognized those new members that'll be joining.
One final item pulled from consent related to electric vehicles and some charging stations going up at Parkway. Tell us about this work.
Yeah, so we added some electrical vehicle charging stations with a private vendor. So we do kind of an agreement with a private vendor there. They own and operate the equipment, maintain it, that type of a thing. And we put those in at the Arbor Lakes Transit Station, and that seems to be going well. We have some pretty good usage of those, and so looking at adding that up at the Parkway Station as well and having that resource available not only for transit riders but just generally in the community.
Next items from the meeting on the 21st had a few visitors in to give updates on some of the work they're doing on behalf of the city and throughout the county and state. The first was Representative Kristen Robbins giving a presentation of what's going on at the Capitol.
Yeah, so good to have Representative Robbins with us. Lots of activity at the Capitol, of course, and some things that she mentioned, of course, is the legalization of cannabis. You know, one of the things that we've really paid attention to in that is having some local control within that legislation that would allow us for, you know, licensing and, you know, maintaining our ability to direct where these facilities are located, how many of them could be in a community, those types of things. And so the bill started out with not a lot of room for cities to have any local control over that from a licensing perspective or compliance checks. You know, we will be the ones at the end of the day responsible for the enforcement. Meaning the police department, and so we really feel like it's important to have local control within those bills that are moving through the legislature. So good support from Representative Robbins on that. She continues to advocate for that, so we'll see how that goes. And then a couple of sort of the family medical leave bills that are moving through the legislature, and of course we at the city would be subject to those as well. So just some concerns about cost and how that gets implemented, and Representative Robbins has been a great advocate on all those issues. So really appreciate her help. She's helping, you know, has authored all the bills that we have at the legislature for Maple Grove specific items,
right.
Our community center bonding, some transportation funding on 169 Elm Creek Boulevard interchange, and then a sales tax exemption for the North Metro Regional Public Safety Training Facility. So really appreciate her support and advocacy down at the legislature.
Second presenter was Hennepin County Commissioner Kevin Anderson talking about some of the work on behalf of the city at the county. What did he have to say? Yeah,
so nice update from Commissioner Anderson on what's going on down at Hennepin County and some of their priorities for the upcoming year. And you know, really want to thank Commissioner Anderson. He was able to bring some of the final funding pieces to the table for the 610 completion project via Commissioner's amendment to the 2023 budget. So that project is now able to move forward with kind of putting those few final funding pieces in place. We have been very active in the youth sports grant program with dollars coming to Fernbrook Fields and the Gleason Fields project, a number of those projects being supported with that. So really appreciative of those efforts. So good to get an update from Commissioner Anderson, and again, we just really appreciate you know, the effort he's making to advocate kind of for the suburbs out here in northwest Hennepin County.
Next from the meeting on the 21st, move ahead to two public hearings. The first related to somewhat of an annual event, the Community Development Block Grant Fund Allocation Plan. Again, remind us what this is and what was taken care of at the meeting. Yeah,
so these are federal dollars that kind of flow down through the county. So through Hennepin County, we get an allocation directly to the city that we typically, you know, can be targeted towards various housing programs. So our allocation this year is about $163,000. A portion of that goes to the Hennepin County Rehab program, so for housing rehab and improvement, the WALT program, which is the West Hennepin Area Land Trust, so that's kind of acquiring homes and then that land stays in the land trust and helps to provide affordability for families, and then reinvestment in our scattered site program, and we own a number of scattered site housing units that are, you know, workforce housing for families and keeping up with the maintenance there. There are dollars through the CDBG program that go directly to nonprofits that are providing service in the community. That process happens at the county level, and our staff participates in that, but what we really work on is kind of our allocation that comes directly to the city and has been dedicated to housing efforts.
Very good. Next item was temporary easement vacation. This relates to what's coming up next related to community development, but first the easements.
Yeah, so this was just kind of an easement cleanup of some more older temporary easements that were put in place out at the markets of Rush Creek prior to having all of the right-of-way in place, and so just needing to clean those up now that a lot of that infrastructure is built.
And that means it clears the way for the next item, community and economic development, discussion of the Soda Shine Maple Grove Planned Unit Development. Interesting combination of businesses here.
Yeah, so this is a combination dog wash, car wash.
Okay.
So really nice architecture on this one. Minnesota-based business. They have one other location out in Waconia, and so they're really excited to be joining the markets at Rush Creek out there at 101 and Bass Lake Road.
Next item was the longest item of the evening, and this was related to the Bella Woods. This is something that has been tabled in the past, so again, give us a little history on this project and what was the discussion at the meeting on the 21st.
Yeah, so this one was tabled back before the end of the year, and then the developer kind of went back to the drawing board, got some direction from the council at that time, went back to the drawing board on kind of the, the lot sizes, the configuration of the development, and so came back to kind of present what they were looking at, got rid of some of the, this is a combination development of single-family lots, and then some townhomes.
Right.
And I should note, this is a development kind of north of 101st, east of County Road 101, just kind of south and east of the KOA campground that's up there, if you can visualize that. So lots of development activity up in this area, or interest. So developer brought back a plan that had, let me get my numbers straight here. 48 65-foot lots, 8 55-foot lots, 45 19-foot lots, and then there was 45 townhome units included with that. The feedback that the developer got, before the end of the year was to kind of reconfigure and bring back, get rid of some of the townhomes or the row houses, bring back kind of a small lot, single family type development. And it should be noted that there's a pretty significant T-zone, so for, tree zone preservation up here, about just shy of 7 acres of old growth forest being preserved up in this area. So some, feeling about the lot sizes up here and what was approved for Evanswood, and kind of the trend up here in this northwest quadrant, and wanting to see some larger lot sizes, and sort of the discussion of trading, the trees and the lot sizes there. So end of the story, after much discussion, shifting those 55-foot lots all to 65, and then maintaining those few 45-foot lots, about 19 of those, and then the townhomes. So this was just concept phase, development approval, and so this has to come back for the development stage. So much more detail will come out there in terms of the grading and those types of things, elevations for those different housing types. The small lots do have the opportunity to be a little bit more, attainable in terms of that price point, as well as the townhomes. So I think, we kind of got to a compromise here, but lots of discussion, and that one then ended up getting approved kind of in that different mix of lots on a 3-2 vote.
All right, and again, more to come as that moves through the process. Last parts of the meeting from the 21st, some staff updates. First, Community and Economic Development, Planning Commission coming up on the 13th, and it looks like just one item at this point, but an item right in the smack middle of downtown.
Yeah, so the February 27th Planning Commission canceled. March 13th will be our next Planning Commission meeting. The project that'll be in front of the Planning Commission that evening is a senior villa type product at Silvercrest on Main. So right there, kind of just east of Lifetime Fitness, the Silver Creek on Main project. Right. If you recall, they've had a couple different phases of that project, and then the Applewood Point project kind of built to the east of that. So there's kind of a pocket of land in the middle that they had talked about maybe doing some sort of memory care facility, but they've shifted now to kind of a senior villa type product, and all of those housing units would then have access to all the services and amenities within the Silver Creek on Main project. So that one will be in front of the Planning Commission on March 13th. And then just acknowledgement for Julie Gamber, who left the Arbor Committee after a few years of service here, and so just grateful for her service to the Arbor Committee.
Next up, Ken Asheville talking about Public Works, and what would he talk about other than snow at this point, right? And so as we're recording this on Wednesday, he had some discussion last night about all the crew that's necessary. Just tell us about what they have to go through to get ready for something like this.
Yeah, so it really, kind of stacks up on day after, every, several different plows within a 36-hour time frame. So we did get out last night. Guys came in at about 2 a.m. and started and did a full plow of the city. And I'll say, everything looked real great this morning. Everybody's moving around town real easily. We are, waiting to see what this afternoon and this evening brings, but we would intend, to get get out probably again at 2 a.m. for another full plow.
Okay.
And then, depending on what piles up, probably something again into the day later on Thursday. I think we kind of, Ken mentioned, when you get to that 9-inch mark, it really gets hard to move things. And so we'll kind of monitor how things stack up here, but look for us to be out in the neighborhoods again overnight tonight. And then again tomorrow, depending on later in the day how things shake out here. It does look like the numbers are coming down a little bit from what they projected, which is just fine. We're happy to have that happen, and then lots of activity on the park end as well. Parks end, a lot of attention paid to the dome in terms of wanting to keep snow away, from the edges of that facility and make sure that the snow can get off the building. We don't want to see that go down. And then keeping facilities open as best that we can during this time. I did see folks out, they were plowing trails and sidewalks today, so it always helps to kind of move what you can before more comes and you have those plow conflicts. So a busy 36 to 48 hours here for our Public Works and Parks crews.
No doubt about it. And you had a couple final updates to end the meeting on the 21st, something happening down with the Capitol and also a few events locally here for those that protect us. Yeah,
so we have the Municipal Legislative Commission, which is sort of a group of the large suburbs here in the metro area. They have their legislative breakfast planned for Friday morning, and looks like it's going to continue to go on. So we'll look to that, and it's an opportunity to visit with all of our legislators just about the concerns from the larger suburbs in the metro area. And then this weekend we have a couple of celebrations. The Police Department Reserve Dinner. We have a number of volunteers that contribute significant hours to the police department in terms of helping with events and different public safety initiatives. So an opportunity to thank them. And then the Maple Grove Fire Relief Association, their annual banquet is Saturday night, and a real great opportunity. The Relief Association puts that on in appreciation to all of our paid-on-call staff.
Fantastic. All right, that's your wrap from the meeting of the 21st. We've got a little time here to talk about some other things happening around the city. The first we want to pass along is a business recognition, and this is very fun. Not often you get one that gets to 100 years, but we've got one in the city. So this is Levon Brothers Plumbing and their Hardware Hank store. It's located in the Bass Lake Center out there, Bass Lake Road, 494 area. 100 years of service in the community, and their long-standing commitment to customers, the community, and the metro area. So congratulations to them. Yeah, that's fantastic. Stop by and say congratulations. Homestead Process, just want to keep residents up to date on that process and where that needs to go through now. Yeah, so this was a shift as of the first of the year. Homestead processing moved back to Hennepin County, so we no longer are able to process those applications at City Hall anymore, at the Government Center, and so we just encourage people to go online at Hennepin County to file that homestead paperwork. Couple dates for you to put in your calendar, looking ahead to March and April, and this is for families that might have young ones that need car seats. You can help out. Yes, we have some car seat clinics coming up. 2 dates are offered: Tuesday, March 28th and Thursday, April 13th. Both are from 4 to 7 p.m. at Maple Grove Fire Station 2. The clinics are free, but we ask that you make an appointment so we know how many people are coming, and the appointments take probably about 30 to 45 minutes per seat. They really work to make sure they're in there properly. You can give a call up to the police department to make those arrangements. Maple Grove Police Department working on a program related to some stickers that you might want for your home. Tell us a little bit more about these stickers and their importance. Yeah, so these are emergency responder notification stickers, and you can affix it to a door or a window at your front door, so if emergency personnel are responding, they can kind of understand if there's a condition in the household. Examples include autism, deaf or hearing impaired, dementia or Alzheimer's, and then diabetic. So those can be requested on the city website or by visiting the police department. Another beginning of the year reminder along with the homesteads is the recreational burn permits. Again, time for people just to take care of that little quick piece of business. Yeah, so this is a free service that we offer online. You can go to our website and sign up for a recreational burn permit. Our goal here is really to get education out to the community so that folks kind of understand the parameters and what safety measures they need to be having in place for backyard fires. Let's talk a little bit about the community Center. We're going to talk in a little bit about some hockey coming up there, but right now the community center getting ready for the expansion project. So
Yeah.
what dates, what things do we need to know about?
Yeah, so a couple things in process last week. The Park Board and City Council met jointly to interview architectural firms for architecture and engineering services for the project. We'd been working with HGA up until now on kind of that space planning and visioning for the project. Interviewed two firms, HGA and JLG, two local firms here. The consensus of the council and the Park Board was to move forward with JLG, so we'll be making a change to those architectural relationships there for the project, moving forward to construction. So you'll see a contract come forward probably later in March on the City Council agenda for that. Also working on interviews for construction manager at risk. This project will be done as a construction manager at risk format project, and so we are going to be working on that. So you'll see a contract come forward for that later in the year. And then, following the election in November and the passage of the ordinance, notice provided to Department of Revenue that 0.5% sales tax will blink on here April 1 of this year, 2023, and that'll go into place. And of course, that's one or two things, either 20 years or when 90 million plus the cost of issuance is raised. So that'll start here April of 2023. Lots of information available on our website there that links you to an information page at the Department of Revenue.
Yep, Growing Together Maple Grove. You can stay up to date on that whole project as it moves along. Indoor Farmers Market, we've got some dates for your shopping pleasure in March.
Yes, we've got March 2, 16, and the 30th from 3 to 6 p.m. Those dates within the confines of the community center, kind of in that open space near the Maple Maze. And then, of course, we'll be looking to get outside in mid-May if the snow is gone.
Yes.
And then just a note, we are looking for a cashier for the farmers market. So just kind of a great little part-time gig if somebody's looking for something fun for the summer months.
All right, as we mentioned, back to the ICER, we're going to go to talk about a few things. One that is coming up and one things that are already happening there as far as some improvements. What's happening inside?
Yeah, so if you haven't been into the arenas of late, we just redid some branding there, some new sponsorship and naming rights programs that are going on. It's real pretty in there. They've really spruced up the place. And so since January 1, the arena has hosted 13 high school hockey games and 100 youth games. So it's been real busy at the arenas over the winter. And coming up at the end of March here, March 3rd to April 3rd, March 30th to April 3rd, the Maple Grove Community Center will be hosting the USA Hockey Youth Tier 2 18U National Championship. So this is bringing in teams from all over the country for this tournament. A lot of the games being played at the Maple Grove Community Center, some also in Brooklyn Park. And just want to give a shout out to Experience Maple Grove. They were sort of real key in bringing these tournaments to town, and so that'll be a big weekend here with hotel nights and restaurants and all of that activity in the community. Yeah,
a chance for residents to get out and see some great hockey as well. Heidi, thanks again for the update here, all the information. Let's leave you with the website and also the date of the next meeting in case you're interested to stop by. Website at the bottom left of the screen, maplegrovemn.gov. Again, a lot of information there about things we talked about throughout the program today and upcoming things in the city. Next meeting, Monday, March 6th, 7:30 at the Government Center. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.